All right, some more GarageBand. Hopefully you're writing this down, taking notes, or minimally downloading the lessons so this will stick. We're going to open an empty project, choose, and I'm going to select a software instrument, our lovely electric piano, turn this off for a minute, and I'm going to save, Command S, and I'm going to call this Loops, highly original name. I'm going to save it to the desktop so you know where it is. If you don't have your students save it to the desktop, you're going to wind up with a million GarageBand projects stuck in the GarageBand folder. Plus, they're not going to know how to grab them. The nice thing about saving to the desktop is that you can put in a USB drive and just drag this onto a USB drive, walk away with it, come back, work on it later. All right, so let's talk about loops. The loop menu is up here on the upper right-hand side. Apple Loops, click on it. So if you'll notice, you have a loops pull-down menu. This will give you genres. And I said if you're not seeing all of the loops that you think you should be seeing, go re-index all loops. All of the loops may not be downloaded from Apple. You could tell, I think go to piano. Yeah, so you have this against time piano right here. It's not available, but there's a little button right here to download. You can also go up to the GarageBand pull-down menu, Sound Library, and you can download updated sounds. It may take a while, depending on your internet speed. So it may take up to 3 hours, depending on how many loops you need to download. Difference between audio and MIDI loops. So audio loops are in blue. They're not in general edited, or you cannot edit them. I mean, you can, but I'm not going to get too much into it. It's quite an arduous process. Let's go to pianos again. And green are MIDI loops, which you can edit. So let's say I like this loop. All you have to do is drag it over. You can also change the key of a loop when you audition it. Select a key up here. We talked about this. So now if I want to hear this in the key of, let's say, G major, now it will play in G major. And it will also give you another, when the minute you change key, it will give you a different palette of loops to choose from. So we'll go back to C major. Try not to write everything in C major. Everybody, I tell you how many more things are written in C major at the key of 120 because that's the default in GarageBand. So be a little creative. All right, reset button will take you back. So obviously you can go by instruments, which is what I tend to do. Automation. So let's talk about if start the creation of a song. So I like this, but I want it to change key on the next pass. So what you do is make sure it's selected, then go Option, click, and drag. Hold down the mouse key as you option, click and drag, and I've just duplicated it. Then this one, I'm going to double click on, and I want to transpose it. So make sure you're in the region, and in this case, it goes up half steps. So I'm going to transpose this up a major second. So I'm going to go 2 half steps. And if you'll notice when I do this, you can look it over to the right of the track and see how it's actually moving. It's just not moving, but it will when I do this. There it goes. So now when I play this back, you should hear it go up a half step. Or a whole step. There it is. And it will tell you it's up a whole step right here. So in this way you can start to build tracks by actually transposing. Can't do this with audio loops, at least very easily. You can, but you'll get various mixed results. So that's how you do that. Automation. This is great. So this obviously controls your track volume in general. And if you click the A key on your keyboard, or hit the A key on your keyboard, you'll get automation. So here's your volume automation. And if I click on it, you'll see a line. We've already sort of talked about this when we did the podcasts, I believe. And so you create nodes by clicking on it. Nodes are dots. So if I want the volume to go up, I create a node. And if I want the volume to go down, I create another node, and you can experiment with the volume like this. So when I play this back, turn off, just hit A again to get rid of the automation. Now you'll hear this. Watch this. It's going up. Watch it go down. So that's volume. You can also do panning, all right, which has to do with left-right. So here's your panning, left-right in the stereo field. And you'll get another node here. And I'll do some huge pans so you get an idea. And you can see that this top is left, going down will be right. I don't know how evident it's going to be on my computer speakers, but you'll get the idea. So now I have panning and volume going. Center. You can also add echo. Won't really mess this track up. So again, you got your, depending on how much echo you want, we'll add a ton of it right away. And now we've really messed up this track. So you're hearing echo, pan, and volume. So you can come up with some pretty creative stuff. Now, let's say I wanted to add a lovely drum part to this. So I'm going to go, in this case, to beats. And I don't know if I like any of those. These are audio loops, so we'll put in an audio loop to sort of show you. This will be lovely. I'll click and drag it over. Now, I want this to last longer. So what you want to do is create a loop here. So if you hold your mouse in the upper right-hand corner, click and drag, this will now loop. And notice that the loops are in gray. This is showing your original track. This is your loop track. Command Z. You can also do this by option clicking and doing that over. So let's say I wanted the drums to not play for a measure. So I can just option click drag over one measure. Now I can loop this over. So now I've created a kind of a unique drum part for this. A little loud. And I might find a fill in here that I like to put in here in another. So let's see if we can find a quick fill. I'll probably be able to find any of them now. So let's say we wanted the bad robot beat to play right here. So I just click it right there, move my mouse to the lower right hand, and just have it play in there with the volume down. So now I can actually create sort of a different groove right here. So I'm starting to build a track. So you can add bass, you can add anything else, you can add your own instrument. Nice thing about this is if you double click here, you can actually see the score by note going on notes, or I'm sorry, that score, and you can see what is played in the score, so you can come up with a melody or have your students come up with a melody. Excuse me. So this way you can start to build some nice little tracks here. If you want to start to work from bar 8, you just click on the timeline, move it over to bar 8. And now, the spacebar will always start at bar 8. All right, and you can click on it however, you can expand this or contract it. And so this way, well, actually in this case you want to start on bar 9. This way you can start to add new stuff. So now when you hit the return to start, it will return to the start of the wherever you have the timeline. All right, what else do I want to cover in this lesson? Oh, snap to grid. So if you go to the Edit pull-down menu here, something called Snap to Grid is on. And basically what that means is it will snap to a beat or a bar. You can turn this off, and when you turn this off, if you click and drag something, you can now drag it in increments of less than a bar. So if you want to nudge something without snapping to grid, you can turn the Snap to Grid off. Tend to leave it on most of the time in GarageBand. Tempo. This is fun. So if you go to track, and we're going to go to show tempo track, And now you can actually take and we can manipulate the tempo here. So this shows you the tempo of 120. We can start to move this down. So now to 108, and we'll make it speed up. Same concept, you're just creating nodes. And then we'll create another node, go back to 118. So now you'll start to see the tempo, watch it up here. Start to see the tempo manipulate, and you should hear it. Very quick tempo changes. If you don't want to see that, all you have to do is go up to the track and then go to hide tempo track. So that's a quick and easy way to show tempo. So here's some basic concepts about building a song using loops, and you can also, enter in your own melodies and everything else and own instruments using virtual instruments. So you can create some pretty original tracks. I've actually used these when I've gotten calls to do a commercial that they need yesterday. I've actually put it together with GarageBand loops and got paid for it. I've heard GarageBand loops verbatim on television. How You Met Your Mother was classic for that. So you can make money with GarageBand. But this is a great example of how your students can start to put together songs and sections. And I'll talk about other ways to do this using the virtual drummer track that's in here as well. Next, I'm going to talk about recording your voice, creating audio effects with it, etc.